All right, YouTube. Man, it's been a hot...
Release the Kraken!
All right, YouTube. Man, it's been a hot freaking minute since I have seen you guys.
Yeah!
Oh, I haven't posted anything in a long time, but what we're going to do today is I want to show you how you can actually edit in Hitfilm Express. It's been a while since I've actually posted an update of it. I just kind of want to show you some little tips and tricks, or at least things that I do that helps me get a lot better at it, and it kind of just flows better this way. All right, so let's switch over to our handy dandy program over here. Boom. And actually super simple. So this is just the interface you see with Hitfilm Express. We're just going to go over to new, and the duration doesn't matter because we're going to effectively change it. And we're going to leave the width at 920 by 1080 because that's what we record everything in. So I'd like to just keep it that way. So super simple. Sample rate for the audio doesn't matter. If you record on or stream on YouTube or anywhere and you have it set to 44,100, do that one, okay? Just do 44,100, be done with it. However, it doesn't really matter. My audio is set to that. I'll leave it at this, and it'll even prompt me to say, do you want to just sync it? Just choose yes. It's super simple. There's nothing too involved. Now, this might be what your say shown up with. Super easy. I'm going to show you exactly what we do here. First things first, you're going to want to drag over whatever video you have. So we are going to use this one I have here, and I just drop it down there. It is going to conform the audio. This might take a few minutes depending on how good your PC is. It could take a very long time.
One eternity later.
But you'll actually see, I'll show you a little bit of editing things that you can do because I want to make it so this makes sense. While we're waiting for that, I'm just going to show you. So over here in the viewer, now your layout might look differently. This is how I like it to be laid out. I find it's easier to follow. But if I right click, I can actually drag the canvas around just so I can see the area that I'm working with a little bit clearer. Whenever I start a project that I want to edit things in, there's two different ways to do it. Now, the way that's probably the most efficient, if you're working with one clip by itself, just go over here to new and click on Composite Shot. Now, much like when you were creating the new project, just leave it as is. It does not matter. If you need more duration, you literally can manipulate that as needed. So it goes milliseconds, seconds, minutes, and hours, if I'm not mistaken. What the composite shot does is it allows us to put all of our files into that one spot, makes it a whole lot easier to work on things. So this is like your main directory where all the media is going. Over here is your timeline in how your video is going to be, and everything's layered. There we go. Just finished conforming as I was going to the next step, so that's efficient. So you can see we drag and drop, but since this is for my live stream, I may not like having this set up like this, right? Where I can see everything. Well, the beauty of that is just by clicking on it, I can then like zoom in and out, but we're going to stretch it out to fit. Now, there's a few things you can do. If you hold shift, it's going to keep the same ratio and kind of just go from the center out. But if I hold control, it's going to keep it locked to the bottom left. Now, I'm just going to stretch it out this way because I want to make sure that I get the top and the bottom cleanly done. Now, this might not be perfect the first time, so you can zoom in. And you know what? To me, good enough. However, it's not quite centered. Like, I want to move it over. So what you can do is if you can click on the green arrow, it lets you move it just up or down perfectly. I'm going to Control Z to undo what I just did. But I'm going to click on the right one or on the red one and just drag it over until the blue arrows look like it's out. Now, you know what? I would say that looks pretty freaking good. I would be happy with this 100%. I just wanted to show you what I do to make things efficient. So let's say I wanted it to be exactly just the gameplay for now, and then I want to zoom out later. Well, over here where I dragged it into the composite shot, I'm going to click that little down arrow and go to transform. Now I'm going to set a keyframe on the scale and the position. To do so, we're just going to click on the position, and wherever this thing here is, sorry, you can hear me talking there. Wherever this little guy is, this is exactly where in the timeline you are. So you can see here, I'm at 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. I'm going to hold Alt and push T, and that's a keyframe. I'm going to do the same thing for scale. And the reason for it, you can see over here, the only two that have anything modified to it are position and scale. I could ultimately set a keyframe for rotation, but if I'm not going to be twisting the screen or anything, there's no reason to do that. Now, I can either just hit play. Okay, it started. And of course, this is just us playing with some friends. So, cracking my butt lol and streamer's the password. I'll have to cut that out. Yeah, maybe. No, I'm leaving that in. I do not care.
Yes,
if anyone actually catches me over on Twitch, yes, I am a live streamer. Catch me over on Twitch. And sometimes we are playing 7 Days to Die. It could be Sea of Thieves. Holy crap, have I ever been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves. But I just wanted you to know that. This way, if you ever wanted to catch and join us in that server, by the way, you're more than welcome to. You already heard it. I'm not going to repeat what the password was. That's up to you to see if you're paying attention. But, no.
Could that work?
So let's say I wanted to have like the first few minutes of it, just me kind of going through, punching things, be like, okay, that's perfect. I have 3 minutes of me doing nonsense. But now I want to do a cut. So maybe I want to skip from this to like 8 minutes in. Well, there's a few ways to do this. So what I usually do is I literally click on the video, control paste it. So there's a second variant of it. Obviously make sure everything's lined up to the beginning. And it goes in layers. So whatever's on the top is going to be what's displayed first. So what I would do at this point is I would literally drag this one over right to the blue line, because I want it to start with that one we did at the bottom. Now, of course, I have it zoomed out, or not zoomed far enough. This recording was a couple hours long. So we're going to modify this. We're going to make so the video is now 5 hours long. And what I'm going to do on the very bottom one is I'm going to actually bring the ending exactly at the start of where the other one is. And I'll show you why we do it this way. There's a few other ways you can actually splice the video out by using the little cut tool. I like to have different, say, copies of them. Oh, there we go. Good thing I double checked that. So let's say that's exactly where we wanted it. So now I have literally the video, both of them duplicated to each other. But maybe I wanted it to cut like I said, a handful of minutes into this position or this point. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this over to there. And while we're zoomed in, because it's way easier to do this while zoomed in, drag it over till it matches, and it'll actually give you a red line letting you know. Now this transition is not going to be clean at all, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit play so you can see how that would be done. Well, okay, find anywhere else, but the claymores that were around were awesome.
Hey,
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Would you say we should just head to you then, Bipolar?
Yeah, there's a trading camp.
And keep in mind,
bro.
so just cut over. Not the cleanest of transitions.
Oh, solid.
But it's a way that you can get rid of some of that fluff. Now, what you could do, there's a lot of fading effects and things like that you could do. Maybe you want it to kind of just add itself in. Well, there's a few ways to do that. Maybe you want it to overlap by just a few seconds. That's more than a few seconds, granted. Let's do something more like this. But maybe I didn't want to hear the audio of the old clip. Well, very easy. Over here in the audio, right where I have it, where it starts here, I am going to set a keyframe. Because remember, if you don't set a keyframe, it changes it for the whole video. So if I wanted the decibels to be 0, or negative, I should say, like say negative 30, this way you don't hear it. You wouldn't hear it for the whole clip. I only want it to be for this last section. So what I'm going to do, negative 30 or 0. And literally I'm going to hit, so there's a few buttons you can push. The two like less than and greater than. The one that is less than moves it 1 keyframe left, and greater than moves it 1 keyframe right. Reason this is good to know is if I move it 1 keyframe right over here, I can now key in negative 30 decibels and you won't hear the audio from the bottom one. And then the video cuts or comes in right away on the top. I don't necessarily like that look, but we got the audio side of it done. Now I'm holding control while I mouse wheel scrolling here to change the zoom levels to make it easier for me to see where I'm doing things, because again, I want it to start exactly at the right point. Now what we can do here is on the very top video, the one that's going to come in, we're gonna bring everything down. Now there's a few things you could do. You could have it set to 0% opacity so you don't see it. And then we're gonna set that keyframe. And maybe by the first few moments of this going in, it starts to fade in all the way to 100. Now, I'm not saying this transition looks clean at all. It's one way you can do it, so you kind of hear, or you can hear the audio come in with still... I'll just show you. Crushed, bro.
Oh, this is back at the front door.
Oh, so now, when we're watching this, it has a nicer, very simple transition. Crushed, bro. So, again, maybe not the cleanest. If I was doing this properly, I would have taken the footage, zoomed into exactly where I wanted it, and be done with it. But let's say you didn't want to just do this, and now you want to start zooming in on things. It's actually super simple. So what I'm going to do is we are going to scroll out or zoom out. Let's go into the middle somewhere right here. Let's say this is where we want to zoom in. So again, with the file selected, under transform, there's scale. So click on the scale and the start of when you want it to zoom in. Control T. This way it knows, hey, this is what it should be. Now let's say I want it to take about 4 seconds to zoom in. So I'm going to click play. I'll let 4 seconds to go through.
I missed.
Which no one would ever do 4 seconds. That's a long time to zoom in. But now what I do is I'm going to change the scale to what I actually want it to be. So let's say I want to zoom in specifically on... Well, let's just say the hammer. Why would I do that? No one will ever know. I don't even know why I said that. There's a few ways to do this. I could literally just key in the scale to like 400%, but keep in mind, the position is going to be off. So, pro tip, don't do what I just did. What you should actually do, get onto that keyframe and also keyframe in position. This way you don't screw yourself over like I was about to do. So let's just quickly hit play again. So let's say by that hit, I want it to be zoomed in. We're going to roll with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to punch in like say 400%. Let's just see where it is. That's actually kind of fine, but I kind of want it to be more in the center. So where this hit marker was, I can either key it in here or just drag it on over. Now remember, there's a few ways you could drag it. Maybe it's already perfect center and I just want to pull it over like so. Now this isn't going to be the cleanest of transitions, but just to show how it would look.
Though.
Oh gosh.
And then maybe I want it to be a very quick pan out, but hold it for a bit. Well, very easy to do. So after the hit, and say by here I want it to start zooming out, I'm going to copy the keyframes by doing Control C and Control V. And then maybe by here it zooms out back to the original. Well, remember I made you create those keyframes at first. So if I click on that one and paste it over, it's now going to go back to where it was. Now let's just show what that transition looks like, or not, that zoom effect. So very quick zooms in, super fast zoom out.
I missed.
Super simple. Nothing too hard about that. I'd just like to show some of that. Now over here is the slice tool. Now the reason I don't like using it, unless you're zoomed in all the way, I find it's actually difficult to cut exactly where you want. So if I click right here, it now separates it into 2 videos from that exact moment. So remember before how I showed you, you could just copy paste and just manipulate where things are? You could also just cut it. My camera throwing in this whole video. And I want it to be, say, in the very top right corner, just because that's where I want it to be. So let's say you want to get your camera, like you see on the far left up top there. If I want to get my camera somewhere on this screen, there's a few ways you could do this, but I'm going to show you the way that I've used. Because of the way that I have my overlay set, on Twitch, it does make it a little easier. At least you get to see all the gameplay footage, and then I'm off to the side, so then I can add it in wherever I want to. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to drag and drop this on top. Again, everything is layered, and I want my camera to be on top, much like you see on this YouTube video. Over in effects, I'm just going to type out crop. Now there's different ways to do this, but again, I'm just going to use the crop and pan. I'm just going to drop the crop right here. I'm going to hit the little arrow, and instead of timeline, I'm going to choose 4:3. The reason for it, I believe this is going to be the closest one to my frame there. So let's just lower it, shrink it, and see. You know what? That's pretty on point. That's good enough for me. I am more than happy with that. 100%. Yeah, I dig that. So now it's going to have my photo. So with the, or not photo, sorry, my webcam. What I'm going to do though, I'm going to click on the file that has this. Now again, you're going to have to do some cutting. So you'll see over here, I'd already have to do this, but this is just again showing you different techniques. I am going to hold Control or Shift, or Shift, and let's say I like this size here. I can then throw me into the top corner. Boom. All done.
It started.
And then you can already see it's going to be synced again until we have that cut.
Cracking my butt, lol. And
Right.
streamers.
I forgot about this. I guess you do get the password one more time.
Condom on your head,
Huh?
like a mask.
Oh boy.
No.
That,
Man, the things that we talk about when gaming.
like you
I'll just pause it before he's embarrassing himself even more. So that's how you can go about doing that. Again, what you would want to do is you'd want to match this crop with this crop. So I would have to copy paste, do another one, line this up perfectly. That is all you really have to do. There's nothing too crazy. I could then even have my camera shake if I wanted to. So when I zoom it in, there's a few ways to do this. I could do it frame by frame. So next frame, maybe I want it to move over a little bit. So kind of go like this. Jump over another frame, over here, jump over another one, and just kind of keep manipulating it like so. Now I'm moving it way too much, but you can see it's like super shaky. That's how you could do a very simple camera shake. Very simple, nothing crazy about it. Again, I'm not saying that that's going to be the best way to get the desired outcome, but hey, you do you. I'd probably have it there. Again, it's not going to render it that well, but it doesn't show it. I'd literally have to go one by one like this, so you can see. So it zooms in and then just shakes. There's so many different effects you could do. There's even effects under effects. Let's see if there's one for shake. Look at that. There is for shake. So you could even play around with things that are built into the thing. Now that you've done all of that, let's say you wanted to do one other color effect for one specific source, I'll call it, or video. Because again, we have a few different videos rendering here. What you're going to do, very simple. Let's say you want to do a black and white. And let's say I wanted it to be exactly when my head is full zoomed in like this. You know, it's kind of like a fun little effect. The way that I've been doing it here is when I know that I'm on the proper say source or video file. Over in effects here, I'm just going to type out black. You can type out black and white. This is just easier. And you'll see down here, there's black and white. There's even old stock. But I'm just going to drag and drop this in. It's already done it. But I might not want the effect to be for the whole video. Super easy to do. Under... Actually, it could be either or, because they both turn on and turn off. So under in here, you can literally set the... I can't even click to save my life right now. So you can easily just go into the hue, saturation, lightness, and right where it's going to be negative 100 in here by default, 0 would be color. All I'm going to do is I'm going to go negative 100 here and create this keyframe right there. I'm going to go back one keyframe and go 0. This way it doesn't affect any of the initial image, and it doesn't go black and white until that keyframe that we've set up over here. Now, if you want the effective, say the color, the brightness to be affected even more, you can go like negative 50, do whatever you want. But remember, set those keyframes first. Since this is a light colored one, and I'm just gonna line it up to the hue and saturation, I'm literally just gonna go here, Alt A, pan over by 1, and maybe here I want it to be negative 60. That's super dark. I wouldn't normally go that dark with it, but quick effect.
I probably
all right,
should.
yeah, I forgot. You can't view it that way. Let's go frame by frame. So zooms in, and then all of a sudden it's just dark. Shakes, and maybe I want the color to come back gradually and the brightness to go back. Well, you're going to create that keyframe on both, and let's say I wanted to take 2 seconds.
I probably should.
Good enough. Here, I could just go back to 0 for both of them, and the color will slowly change as you see. Darkness and everything else shows up. Very easy stuff. Much like sound effects, you would just drag and drop where you want them. Very quick example. Let's say we wanted to go with something like, let's use this one. Stream files, icons, sound effects. Actually, that one might be too much. I don't want it to be obnoxious. Actually, I guess we are just showing it. So let's just say it's going to be the buzzer. Just to let you hear what that sounds like. We're going to drop it in here to wherever you want it.
I probably should.
That's almost perfect. I'd probably scoot it ahead a bit, or actually behind a bit.
I probably should.
Doesn't matter. You play with that. You make it where it is. And maybe it's too loud for everything. Well, like we've been doing so far, you just click on this little doodad here. Go to audio. And then you can just test. Try -6. Let's hear how loud that is.
I probably should.
Not much of a difference. So let's try -10.
I probably should.
That's much better. I think the blend there fits a lot better. Once you're done with a video file, you always want to make sure, don't do what I did. Always make sure that however much time you've set in here, this blue bar, this blue one, goes to the end of your file. Okay? That's like a pro tip, if you will. So we know it goes right to, it should be going right to here. Very important. Match it. If you do not match it, you're going to regret it, because all of a sudden you're going to have a file that's like 5 hours long as opposed to what it actually is. Now, I would never actually upload a whole 2 hours and 40 minutes to YouTube, but that just gives a quick example. Now, let's say you had like an intro and everything else that you wanted to do before all of this. Super easy. I already have those files, so it's pretty easy for me to just drag and drop them in. So literally, I'm just going to hit my intro there, my outro, and then I have a quick little subscribe now and YouTube or Twitch. So I'm gonna just drag and drop my intro literally in front of everything. Now there's a few ways. There's a few ways to. It's glitching out now. Oh, that's fun stuff. That is fun stuff. There's a few ways to do this. Now I would say do it like this. Once you've copy pasted it, highlight every file, and then drag and drop it so it's behind your intro. Quick example.
Release the Kraken.
And then
Okay,
gets into
it's
it. Again, you could do fading in whatever you want. That's one way to do it. And then maybe say 5 minutes in, I want it to have my subscribe now. Doesn't matter where you toss it, but again, or it does, always make sure it's at the top. And now it would do the little clicky thing. Mark, today is... Again, you should find the spot that makes sense for it. Don't just be throwing it in there. And at the very end, my outro. Make sure it's at the top. I'm going to zoom in and make sure I didn't mess this up. And remember, since we've done all this other stuff, you're going to need to move that duration over. Otherwise, you are going to hate yourself later. So I believe that would be perfect. Zoom in all the way to make sure it actually is. Yep. So then at the end of it,
Feeling.
it's whatever we say here. Cuts to my outro. That's all you got to do. You go to export. Now, what I always do myself is I go to add to queue. Either content, it doesn't matter which one. I just click the top one. And depending what you're doing with this, if it's for YouTube, just leave it on the YouTube one. Super simple. If you were making, say, things with alpha in there, so there's like layers where you don't see anything, like it's see-through, you would have to do this one. This takes forever. This uses a lot of resources. Again, I would never do this file. You can see I've done a lot of different things with emotes and stuff too. You know what? I might as well show one of them just for fun. Nope. You got to tune into my Twitch to see that. But that's all you have to do. Just hit start exporting. Bob's your uncle. There's obviously a whole lot more that I could show you about this. However, I wanted this to be as short as possible, and it still went on significantly longer than I meant it to. My goodness. I hope that this is helpful. More videos like this in the future. Smash that like button. If you do like this, please comment down below. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this, or if you'd rather see some of my gameplay footage. I have a ton of clips that I'll be uploading very soon. Hover, TikTok, and of course YouTube Shorts. Maybe I'll do a compilation one. I do want to start doing more shout outs too. Over on Twitter, I've been doing that, where if I've been watching you or you do some really cool stuff, maybe show up a few times, give some cool tips, I'm giving you some shout outs. So I kind of want to do that. We do have a Discord as well. There's a whole lot of things. I don't want to bombard you. This is the outro. So I'm just going to say, you know what? Until next time, everyone, take care.